How's it going, everyone? It's Foxy here for another edition of Foxy's Flea Market Pickups. I got quite a little bit of everything for today's edition, so let's just get right down to it. The first thing I have here is a little Donkey Kong plushie that I got, and I don't know, typically I don't do plushies. I think it's kind of like a girly thing, but when I see like video game ones like Super Mario or whatever, and I always tend to kind of pick them up just because it's a lot of nostalgia. Like, I love the Donkey Kong Country games. Anything afterwards is kind of just or, well, shit. I still have not played the remake of Donkey Kong Country on, I think it's the Wii. I think it's the GameCube, but I think it's the Wii. Have not played that, so I don't know if it's any good or not. I'm kind of hesitant to play it just because I know it won't match up to the original. So, that's that. Next we have, let's do this, a Commodore 64 plug-and-play. Really don't know what to say about this one. A couple of the games that it comes with is Impossible Mission 2, Jumpman Jr., Dynasty Warriors, Cybernoid 2, Paradroid, Pit Stop 2, you know, just games that I've never heard of, and I have actually played that before, and I kind of want to review it because it's definitely worthy of a video, and I won't say more than that. Next we have Ratchet Clank, was this one? Going Commando. I almost got this confused with Up Your Arsenal. Up Your Arsenal and Going Commando are my favorite Ratchet & Clank games out of the entire series. Any of the Ratchet & Clank games after the PS2, I've never really cared for. No particular reason why, it just never matched up to these two. Deadlock is also pretty good. Quest for Booty sucked ass, if I recall correctly. And those ones on the PSP really weren't anything spectacular, but Going Commando and Up Your Arsenal are by far my favorites in the series. And speaking of which, I need to pick up the collection, the PS3 HD collection of this. I would really love to see what the graphical differences are between the two, and maybe make a video out of it, who knows, for graphical evolution. Again, don't really know yet. Star Wars: The Clone Wars on the Xbox. Now here's a question. Anytime I've seen this game on Xbox, it's always been cheaper than the equivalent on the PS2. Does anyone know why? Because all the other times I see a PS2 game versus an Xbox, the PS2 is always cheaper. So this is like one of the first times I've ever seen an Xbox game cheaper than the PS2. Again, someone please tell me if any of you know why that is, because I honestly, I think it's a little bizarre. Anyway. Oh, and that is a good game. I've played it before. Incredible Hulk on the Xbox. If I recall, this is supposed to be like an open world version of Incredible Hulk, and I believe I rented it when I was younger, and it was a very, very fun game. A little strange to get used to because it's Hulk running around in just this gigantic city and you could do whatever you want. Kind of like Grand Theft Auto in a way, but it was still, if this is the game I'm thinking of, it's still a really fun, really different type of game. So, next we have Return to Castle Wolfenstein on the Xbox. I've never played this, but I do have the one on the PS4, and that Wolfenstein is actually the first one I've ever played. Pretty good, the PS4 one. I'm not talking about this one. The PS4 one's actually pretty good, though I don't understand why it doesn't have multiplayer. Games these days, it's almost like required to have multiplayer unless it's ridiculously good and it's open world. You have a lot of things that you could do. Wolfenstein's a linear, somewhat game, so I don't understand why they didn't include a multiplayer. Even if it's a shitty multiplayer, you know, at least it's something to, I guess, kind of bring up the replay value a bit. But I don't know, it's very, very weird that they didn't do that. Next is Cold Fear. I love horror games. I own probably about 30 to 40 of them myself. No, I don't. I'm thinking of something else. I own like 20 horror games. I've still been trying very hard to find a copy of Fatal Frame, the entire collection of Fatal Frame for the PS2, because that is by far my favorite horror game series. I've never played Cold Fear, so I can't really say anything about it, but it kind of, from the back, it kind of almost looks like Silent Hill in a way. Silent Hill maybe mixed with a little bit of Resident Evil. Like, it definitely has that survival horror third person walking around a room, but it's not like behind the shoulder third person. I don't fixed camera, I think it's called. Kind of looks like that. No, I'll give it a shot. Who knows? If it's shit, it's shit. Like most horror games I've played, they never really... Okay, let me just say this. Horror games, for me, are, again, hit or miss. They're either really good or really shit. The two horror games outside of the Fatal Frame series that really, really come to mind as far as amazing games in the horror genre are Eternal Darkness and son of a bitch, I can't think of the other one. But oh well, Eternal Darkness and the Fatal Frame series are ridiculously good games. One game that I thought was incredibly overhyped was Outlast. It is a fantastic game. Do not get me wrong. I'm not saying it's shit or anything. I even reviewed it myself. However, I didn't think it was scary at all. Like, you see all these people doing overreacting on YouTube or whatever the fuck they're doing, just getting out screaming shit, and it's just, I'm playing it and I'm just like, alright, jump scare. Ooh, I only saw it for about the 100th time this game. And that's really what Outlast was all about. It was just so predictable jump scares. And if it's predictable, it doesn't mean it's bad, but if it's done in such a way where you expect exactly what to happen, it kills the whole thing to me. So next we have Bladestorm, The 100 Years' War, made by Koei, who does the Dynasty Warrior games, which I will talk about in a second, because I got one. Very different. It's more strategical. It's kind of like an RTS, not really. Like, there's a lot of strategy involved. Pretty good, although a lot of people didn't like it. And I could see why, because to most people, I could see it just being a really boring game. Here we got, well, you know what? Yeah. Here we got NASCAR Dirt of Daytona, or Dirt 2 Daytona. I said this in a previous video. I don't understand why, but I do enjoy some NASCAR games every now and then, and this one does look a little bit different than the traditional NASCAR 2007, 2008, 2K9, whatever the hell. This looks actually somewhat different. And speaking of Dynasty Warriors, like I said, I picked up Dynasty Warriors, but this one is for the Xbox. I have never played a Dynasty Warrior game on the Xbox before. Well, the original Xbox. I've played 6 and 8 on the 360. Now here's the thing with Dynasty Warriors and Koei. Koei ported these games on the Xbox in such a shitty way. There was always problems with the Dynasty Warrior games in general, with PS2, Xbox, whatever system it was on, with slowdowns. For example, what I mean is, like, if there's 100 enemies on screen or whatever, it will slow the screen down just because it can't handle all the shit on screen. So instead of it going like a swing, like a full motion swing, it's like slow motion for as much time as it takes to get out of that sort of all the shit on screen sort of thing. However, even though it happened on all of the systems, I don't know about 8 on the PS4, because it was so piss poorly ported on the Xbox 360, again, I don't know about this one, the slowdowns happened much more frequently, and it would happen for a lot longer times than it would on the PS2. And the reason behind that is because they ported it, didn't even give a shit about it, just, okay, put it on the Xbox, throw it out, and make some money off of it. Didn't really care to optimize it to the 360 or however you want to put it to kind of not have as many problems as it did. So basically, think of it like this. The Fallout games that Bethesda made on the 360 were better on PS3 and 360 were better on the 360 and were shit on the PS3. Same thing with this. with it being better on the PlayStation as opposed to Xbox. I know I'm rambling a lot here, I'm sorry, but I just kind of want to explain that. Let's see. 2 more things. Tales of Symphonia for the GameCube. An old man was selling this with the Dynasty Warrior games, and, you know, he didn't know what he had. Let's put it that way. He had no idea that this game is not cheap. Let's just say that it's not a cheap game, and this guy was selling it for a ridiculously low price. And when I picked it up, there was a reseller behind me that wanted the game too. I was looking at it, I was making sure that all the discs were in there, because it's not 1 disc, it's 2, you see. And I was making sure that it wasn't scratched. All complete, and it's not scratched at all. When I bought it, and when the guy said the price, the reseller behind me got so fucking pissed off about it. He's like, God damn it, why didn't I get here first? And he's just going on and on about it for like 2 minutes with his friend next to him. It's just like, hey, you've bought out games before I can get there, but the difference between me and you is I collect games, you just sell them or resell them. So, yeah. Last thing we have is a Nintendo official GameCube carrying case. I didn't know they made these. Like, I was aware that they made the ones on when you rent the systems from Blockbuster, and I don't know how many Blockbusters did that, but the one by me did that. I was very surprised to come across this, because I actually kind of wanted a carrying case for a GameCube, because I have 2 of them. My dad owns one, and I own one, and I also own a Wii. I don't really need the GameCube because I got the Wii. So I'm just going to store the GameCube in this thing and put it in my closet, and I think it would be kind of cooler than putting it in the original box, just because, hey, if I want it out there, I could just, take it out of this thing with the cords and whatever, just plug it in if I wanted to again. So, that's it for today's edition of Foxxy's Flea Market Pickups. I thank you all very much for watching, and hopefully this video isn't too long. I know I rambled a lot, but again, thank you very much for watching.